find animals that humanity had given up for extinct. This book is my story so far, my chance to share how I grew up from a barefoot boy in the Zimbabwean bush to a young biologist working along the coast of California to a pioneering adventurer with a grand mission and a host of unprecedented discoveries. But back to the snake. I fell about 8 or 9 feet straight onto my back, knocking the wind completely out of me. I rolled over and heaved myself up onto all fours, taking big, noisy, desperate gulps of air. As soon as I recovered, I started touching my face. This was before cell phones with selfie cameras, searching for where the snake had caught me. I kept thinking my eyes were swelling shut, that my vision was blurring, but it was all a panicked reaction. I was, by some miracle of timing and physics, perfectly fine. And now, I knew where the 12th snake was. Introduction. I wasn't a bad kid, but I was wild. I grew up on a 200-acre farm in Zimbabwe, on the outskirts of the capital, Harare. Our land was set upon ironstone soil, red dirt African bush, a landscape abounding with granite outcroppings and miombo woodland. I lived there with my mother, sister, and 200 workers along with their families. We grew oranges, avocados, and flowers. It was an idyllic place, and mine was an idyllic childhood. I spent what seemed like the majority of my boyhood, when not in school or in the deep bush, by the dam on our farm, stalking the banks of the big lake. My friends were the children of the farm workers. We spoke to each other in English and Shona as we honed our skills catching snakes, fish, and turtles. At 7 or 8 years old, outfitted with a hook, a worm, and a piece of line tied to a bamboo pole, we caught 2-inch-long bream, flinging them one after the other onto the bank, where we built small fires and cooked them right there. For seasoning, we used the salt that we had shoved in our pockets before leaving the house. We never packed a lunch or took water. We ate what we caught and drank from the dam's outlet. We constructed bows and arrows and shot targets. We built rafts to brave the waters of the lake, which always felt like an adventure. Some nights, I slept on the floor of a worker's rondavel, which is an African mud house with a thatched roof. Other nights, my friends joined me in our house. It was a happy, if tenuous place. My home was full of animals. Above my bed, sleeping in the mosquito netting, was our vervet monkey, Chippy. We found him in a field we were plowing, abandoned by his troop, for what we later learned was a heart murmur, and he became my best friend. When I woke up in the morning, he would jump down onto my shoulders, accompanying me to breakfast. When I'd left for school, he'd take to the trees, descending only when I returned at the end of the day. Gliding through the house were my mother's 2 servals, large, elegant, wild cats native to Zimbabwe that we had rescued as kittens. They enjoyed beating up our Rhodesian ridgebacks, and visitors to our house were genuinely terrified of them. It was a good thing their tenure didn't overlap with the blue duiker, a small forest antelope that trotted our halls for a time. My room was a lively place. Some kids have video games, some have rock and roll posters. I had wall-to-wall terrariums, 14 in total, one half of which housed snakes and the other half contained my collection of freshwater fish, each tank representing a different region in Zimbabwe and a different type of body of water. It wasn't enough to live in a wild and beautiful country. I had to share my every waking and non-waking moment with animals. My love for them began before I can even remember. This book, this story I have to tell about my journey so far and the amazing animals that inspire me, is about how that inborn passion survived for so long, despite what life would throw at my family and me, and how my happy obsession with the creatures of this world has guided me through the threshold of discovery time and again. I want to show how a love of nature can shape a life and change the world. I invite you to travel with me to the wildest places left on Earth to find animals that humanity has given up for extinct, while I share stories of adventure and discovery, of finding your tribe and fighting for your beliefs, and of animals lost and found.